as I'm getting into my entrepreneurial journey, I'm really finding that it is so much about the mindset. It is 85% mindset, maybe 15% strategy and the how.
Yeah.
I don't know if you agree, Emily, with that or not, but I just think it just matters so much. And have you read Dr. Carol Dweck's book, Mindset?
Yeah, I got it right over.
Yes.
There.
And that is one that I love that book. It's one that I talk about at my work, just to have that growth mindset of, you know what, I'm not there yet. I will get there. And just to have that expansive, positive attitude that with perseverance and support, coaching, anything's possible. And any moment we can choose our mindset, we can choose to try again, we can choose to begin again.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're listening. Thank you for listening to the Onward podcast. This is your host, Emily Harmon. My guest today is Clarissa Castillo-Ramsey. And Clarissa is a leadership and life coach for creatives, new leaders, and busy professionals. She's also a practicing abstract artist and organizational psychologist. Clarissa has been an artist since the age of 5, and her passion for coaching can be traced back to her childhood and her young adult days. Clarissa was the friend that others sought out for advice, counsel, and encouragement. And now she helps her clients who are feeling burnout and feeling unfulfilled. And she helps them figure out what it is that would get them out of bed each morning. And she says it's the cross-section between passion, mission, vocation, profession. Clarissa is also the author of the book, Painting Your Path. Her personal mission is to help 1,000 high-achieving creatives and leaders who want to generate impact and income go from wondering how to share their talents to becoming empowered leaders by teaching them how to create a vision and execute their plan to live their best life so they can make a difference in the communities they serve. So we are live on Facebook, Clarissa, and
hi.
Hi, everybody. I know this is I didn't even announce it, but Clarissa and I are doing a podcast interview. And I thought, well, especially with the topic that you want to address, I thought, well, let me just broadcast it live in the challenge group. And this is something that I want to do for my coaching program, because my group coaching program is a group that, we can be on Facebook, and we can, what I could do is conduct the interviews, and then people could ask questions too along the way. They could post a question that I could ask or something like that. So we're just testing it out. This episode won't be published until February or March. So if you watch this, you're getting a heads up on what this episode's going to be about. The sun's shining in my background there. So Clarissa, welcome to the Onward podcast.
Thanks so much for having me, Emily.
We met through a Facebook group called Don't Keep Your Day Job.
Yes.
And that was pretty cool. I think you were looking, how did we meet? Because I think I volunteered to submit something for your book.
Yes. So I started listening to Kathy's podcast, and I just got really inspired to write a book. That's been on my bucket list, is to write a book. And I was at a point in my life where I knew I was feeling that urge to pivot. So for me, every 7 to 10 years, I tend to reinvent myself, move into something else. And it was time. And so I'm an organizational psychologist by background and trade. So I like to do some research. I'm a researcher at heart. And so I wanted to write a book and interview women who were pivoting out of the corporate world and pivoting into what they really wanted to do with their life, or whatever that next chapter was going to be. So I decided that's what I was going to do, was to write a book. And I'm also an artist, and I wanted to do an art piece with each interview. And Kathy actually talked about me on one of her episodes, which was cool. Yes, it was the one with Jordan Harbinger. I'll never forget. And I remember posting in the Facebook group, and I said, hey, I'm looking for women primarily over 40 who are doing their own thing, pivoting out of the corporate world. And then you answered. Mm-hmm. And that's how we connected.
That's awesome. And I contributed to a chapter to your book. You interviewed 21 women, I think, for your book.
I did. Yes.
And
I
they're
sure did.
all talking what about like how they made that transition, why they made that transition.
Exactly. And it's so funny, like a couple of them were lawyers and lawyers turned entrepreneur. And pretty much in every one of those stories, the women were like, you know what? I didn't even really want to do this. I just thought, let me just do something that is safe or reputable or makes good money. And they all
Be a
just
lawyer. Yeah.
be a lawyer. Yeah. And they just said, you know what? This is not who I am. Time to pivot out.
I know a lawyer that on the side, she writes romance novels under a certain.
Oh, I love it. That's so cool.
She's a government contracting lawyer. So it's pretty cool. So what are your lessons that you learned from that book? Like, what did it take for these women to follow their heart?
I think a lot of them just got to a breaking point where they just said, you know what, enough is enough. For some of them, health opportunities just presented themselves. And they just said, you know what, this job is literally killing me.
You said health
And
opportunity.
health
I think I would have said health
opportunities.
challenge, but you call
I
it an
know.
opportunity. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
an opportunity to work through that and address it. So, yeah. And for a couple of them, that's how this was all manifesting. And then for a lot of others, it was just always that voice in the back of their head where they had an idea, they wanted to try it. And then they finally just got the courage to just shift and pivot. One story, a friend of mine who I used to work with at a former job, she always hosted we called it Stitch and Bitch. And it was just a crafting afternoon or whatever. And she's a jewelry maker. And after we all left that company, she and I kept in touch, and she always talked about, I've always wanted to put this club together. And so she finally did it. And it was just great to see so many of those ideas that have been brewing in people's minds come to fruition.
Were they at first like insecure about doing it? Because some people might think,
yes,
I have ideas, but those people are different than me because they can do it. I can't. My inner critic says I can't. I've got all these reasons why I can't. Did those people have
yes.
those reasons?
Oh, absolutely. There were, I would say, definitely a majority versus a minority of women thought, can I really do this? I don't know if I can. I just don't know if I have the energy to do it. Fill in the blank. They all, not all of them, but most of them had that feeling for sure.
Yeah, I have it daily.
Yes.
I think you still have it even once you've made that pivot or whatever. And that's why I do find I'm in a couple group coaching programs and then in a mastermind. And I think who you surround yourself with helps you get through those times when you're like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I'm if I'm accomplishing what I set out to accomplish.
Yeah, me too, Emily. I'm in a couple of coaching programs, and for the first time in my life, I feel like I'm the dumbest person in the room, but I'm also excited by that too. I think I've just have been in my comfort zone for a while, being the expert at my job, and I'm trying new things and being in these groups where people are I feel like they're like 5-10 steps ahead of me. And it's just great to learn from them and to also know that they have fears and doubts too.
Yeah.
So I'm not alone.
Not alone. You're not alone.
Yeah.
I know somebody who had a group coaching program, and when people were quote unquote done, because I don't think it was about discovering your authentic self and stuff similar to mine. I don't know that you're ever done, but people wanted to stay in the group because they loved contributing and helping the new people coming in, which I think is cool. Because
that's cool.
Learn when you're giving back, you're learning as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you said you're getting ready to pivot again. Tell us the different times in your life a little bit about your life and the different times when you've like reinvented yourself or done something.
Sure. Yeah, I'll go back to my childhood, real short story. So I knew like from the time I was 5, I wanted to be an artist. So I so identify with that, being an artist. And I also knew at a young age that I loved working with people and just helping people shine. So those art and coaching have just been a running thread through my life. And when I was in my 20s, I had those interests, but I didn't have the confidence in who the hell am I? What am I doing? And so I just took a job out of college. I started in retail management, hated it. Oh my gosh, hated it so much. But I thought, well, this is work. I guess this is normal.
You're not supposed to like work, right?
Right. I'm not supposed to like work, but this is a horrible environment. And then I started drawing again and doodling, because that is something that I kind of left behind in my childhood. But I found myself just being interested in drawing again. And I just decided, and I was in Boston at that time. I went to school at Boston College. And I was like, you know what? I'm done. I'm done with the snow. I'm done with the East Coast. It's been great. My friends have moved on. It is time for me to move on. And I would show my artwork to my coworkers at my retail job. And they were all like, oh my God, Clarissa, you're so good. You should really do something with this. And I think it was just all of those events, me being done with Boston, me getting like affirmation from my coworkers about my art. And I always had an interest in, not always, but I had this new interest in graphic design.
Mm-hmm.
That was something that was a newish thing. This was like early 90s, mid 90s. And I just decided, you know what? It's time for me to learn that. And so I picked up and moved and came out to California, which is where I'm at now. No job. My brother was in California. He went to Caltech. My best friend was out in California. So at least I had people that I could be with. I had family and friends. So I just picked up and I just had a tiny bit of money and whatever I had and moved out west, and it was time to pivot. And so I went to graphic design school, figured out how I was going to make money. I just temped. So I temped from 8 to 5. I went to school from 6 to 10, Monday through Friday, for 18 months.
Wow.
And yes. And then that is how I got into my graphic design career. And it took me a while to get a job. So then again, all these like limiting beliefs, right, come in. Oh my gosh, I spent how much money on this school? I can't find a job. But my mom was really there to just encourage me, and she was the one that said, keep going, just keep going, keep trying, keep persevering, and you'll get to where you want to be. So eventually I found a job, and I was an internal graphic designer for a coffee and tea company. Loved it. I was in my mid-20s, just really enjoying it. But then after probably about 5-6 years, I found myself, okay, I feel like I've exhausted this. I really don't have any ambition to be the top art director of anything. And then my interest on the people side of business started coming forward, because in college I took up marketing because I thought that's creative. I can be an artist and marketer somehow. And I also took up human resources because that was the human side of business. So the whole like graphic design thing kind of faded away. And what was coming to the forefront, what I was really noticing was just dysfunction in the company I was at, right? And one consultant came in and I just loved what she did. She did a facilitation on employee engagement. So I started talking with her. I started talking with our HR director. And then I just knew it's time to pivot again. It's time to pivot and go into more of the organizational behavior side. So I decided, you know what? I think I'm going to go back to school and pursue this degree in organizational psychology. And so I did that and left.
Like part-time or?
Well, I was working full-time, and I negotiated with my company to keep me at a full-time, but I only worked 3 days a week. So at the beginning, it was easy to do grad school and work because the classes were introductory,
right?
And it wasn't so difficult. But then when I got to statistics, that is not my brain. Mm-hmm. I had to figure something else out. And so the company that I was at, we agreed to part ways because it was just too much. I couldn't fulfill their needs and I just couldn't be there. So I just decided to take some time off, and I visited a friend and just got away, didn't work, and just went to school. And then I changed schools because I needed to do something that was more for an adult learning program and for somebody who wants to work, if that makes sense. So I switched to an executive format where it was just once a month on the weekend. So that worked out. And I eventually found a job in an HR consulting company. And I actually took a job that I really didn't care for, but I'm one of those people that's like, you know what, I'll make it work. I'll figure my way through this organization and I'll learn what I need to do. I'll get the skills that are going to help me. So I was going to school on the weekends and then took on this new job. and just got some organizational consulting experience. Eventually, I headed our customer service team and got what I got from that company. And then when it was close to graduation from grad school, I went to this training program and I really wanted to get into coaching. So I went and I took a coaching program and thought, okay, I got to pivot out of this company. I got what I felt like I could get out of it. So let me just put out in the universe, it's time to be on my coaching way. So I told my friends and family, hey, I'm loving organizational psychology. I'm really into coaching. This is what I want to do. And I was in this training session talking about wanting to pivot into an internal coaching position at an organization. And we went on a break and I checked my phone messages. And one of my friends had left me a voicemail and said, hey, Clarissa, I think I have the perfect job for you. It's to be an internal coach in our organization. Would you be interested in interviewing? And I was like, oh my God, what?
And did this friend know, had you told her or about your plans or your dream to do that? Or did she not know?
I think she knew that I was interested in it, but I honestly didn't think it would happen so quickly. After me talking about it.
That's the importance of telling people what your dreams are, putting it out
Yep.
first, right? Because if people don't know, then they can't help you.
Exactly. And so I was so happy when I came back from that lunch break to tell the group that I was with, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And so that's where I'm at now. So I've been with that organization for the past 10 years and have gotten promoted a couple of times. And it's been a great ride. And again, at the point where it's like, okay, it's time for me to shift.
Why is it time to shift? Like you're comfortable. You want to get out of your comfort zone.
I do.
To get antsy. I mean, what is it?
I am. I'm getting antsy and and I've always wanted to work for myself at some point.
Okay.
So I feel like that time is now.
Okay. Are you scared?
Yeah, I'm scared a little bit, but I'm building my ramp and this is something that I have talked to my boss about. So it's not a secret. I mean, the whole entire company doesn't know unless they happen to watch this podcast, but I feel really blessed to be supported by her. It was kind of scary to have that conversation, but she knows me well. We've worked together for the last 7 years and I just feel good.
So what do I'm sure you have an inner critic that says, Clarissa, come on, you can't do this. What are you doing? You've got a secure job. What are you doing? How do you handle your inner critic? Because everybody has one.
Oh my gosh. I just anytime something comes up in my brain, I say out loud, and this might sound funny, but this was something I learned at a self-development training. I just say cancel. I say cancel. Like if a thought comes in, I just say cancel. And I just have to get back to my why. Like, who am I taking a stand for? What do I care about? And just come back to, I want to make a difference. It's not just about looking good at a job, although I have helped so many people there, which I'm thankful for. I've gotten the experience coaching in that organization. So it's really just about coming back to my why and telling my inner critic, okay, I hear you, and cancel.
How do you figure out your why? Like if you've just been working, head down, taking care of other people, how does one come about their dreams and their why if they've never really taken time?
Yeah. So an exercise that I did was really just write down memorable moments in my life, positive, negative, whatever it is. And in, journaling, I like to journal. There was always a common thread of creating new possibilities. Mm-hmm. And so that I would say is my big umbrella why, is just helping myself create new possibilities in my life. So whether that is being an artist and wanting to share your work, getting it out there. Maybe you want to pivot into a different career. And these are the kinds of conversations that I've had with people and have helped people just come back to themselves.
Yeah. And the way to do that, I think something I didn't used to do is journaling and spending quiet time with yourself. Because my way of avoiding myself was to stay really busy.
Right. Yes. And I'm an introvert by nature. So I get a lot of energy by stepping away and journaling. And you know what else is great? Therapy and coaching.
I have a counselor that's really helping me for the first time, a counselor that's helping because she's helping me with like breathing exercises and Kundalini yoga and things like that. And by doing that, feelings that I had suppressed through all my time in the military and just head down dealing with my kids and everything are starting to come up. And then I'm learning how to deal with them and clear them and get rid of them and be more in the present and name my feelings. I think a lot of, especially Americans, I've read this one book about like feelings. We know good, bad, happy, sad. We don't have other names for our feelings.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think me too, like in my culture, like we suppress a lot of our emotions. Like it was okay to show happy, good emotions, but not anger, not rage, not disappointment. And so as an adult, like I have been really working on that too.
Right. Part of discovering who you are entails going back and looking at your childhood, understanding what you liked in your childhood, understanding how you were brought up. It's not a way to blame your parents.
No.
Just understanding more who you are, like what shaped you. And
exactly.
That's part of my coaching program, probably yours too. So what do you think, what's important about like coaching or group coaching or individual coaching and therapy? What's helped you?
I think for me, it's just helped me deal with those emotions that I just didn't want to deal with. And I think really that's been it to help me sort through my childhood and get to the point where, you know what, my parents were just doing the best they knew how to do. Right. And because I used to blame my mom, when I told her I wanted to be an artist, she was like, oh no, that is a bad profession. You're going to be famous after you're dead. And I held on to that for a long time. And then I finally got, you know what, she's a doctor. She's about stability and all that. And she was just coming from a good place. And I think with coaching, because I feel like coaching is there to help us move forward and reach new levels. And that's why I think it's so important. I'm working with a couple of coaches and I'm in a couple of programs and it is worth it 100%.
Me too.
Yeah.
One of my coaches says, never invest in a coach who's not investing in him or herself.
Right.
Right. So
yes.
I love being in coaching programs because it pushes me. I'm an overachiever. I like to achieve, but I can tell you there is no way I would be where I am right now, what I've accomplished in the past year and a half without having coaches. I would have given up.
Yes.
I can tell you I would have given up because it's scary.
Right. Yeah. And I think, and they have, probably gone to where you want to go and they have really good insight. And so I just also want to shortcut my path too.
Yeah. They can see your blind spots too, things that you can't see.
Oh, yes.
So you were saying that you had a difficult childhood in terms of racism. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, it was just, I was born in Detroit. I was born in Michigan, have very happy memories there. We moved to Texas to a very small town when I was 5. And I just felt like an outsider. It was the town. I think the town was, I forget. I don't know. It was very small. Mm-hmm. And I just felt like, oh gosh, there's really nobody like me, like who looks like me. And people didn't know where the Philippines was. And I just felt just like an outsider and got called all kinds of names. And, although it was really tough, it also taught me to like, okay, don't be like that. And really like open your mind to different people. And although it was really challenging, I also got the hell out of there when I turned 18 and I moved to Boston. Yeah.
Yeah. So I wish that we could just not look at people like you're white, you're black, you're Filipino, you're male.
Right.
We're all people and we all have something valuable to bring to this world, even if
absolutely
like or look alike. So,
yeah.
Yeah. So what has you listed some things that you wanted to talk about? One of them was mindset. How is
yes.
what would you like to say about mindset and the importance of mindset?
I just think it is, as I'm getting into my entrepreneurial journey, I'm really finding that it is so much about the mindset. It is like 85% mindset, maybe 15% strategy and the how. Yeah. I don't know if you agree, Emily, with that or not.
Yeah.
But I just think it just matters so much. And have you read Dr. Carol Dweck's book, Mindset?
Yeah. I got it right over
Yes.
there. Yeah.
And that is one that I love that book. It's one that I talk about at my work, just to have that growth mindset of, you know what, I'm not there yet. I will get there. And just to have that expansive, positive attitude that with perseverance and support, coaching, anything's possible. And in any moment, we can choose our mindset. We can choose to try again. We can choose to begin again. And that's really it, is just to not be deterred, not
How
be
do you
deterred.
know when you really should stop something or pivot, or when you really should push through and it's a mindset issue?
I think for me, that's where having a support team, having like the coaches that I work with, just to talk through things. And I think for me, it's if I have for me, I don't know, I'm very in tune with my body. So for me, if I have this feeling in my tummy that is, I'm just going to call it unsettling.
Yeah.
I know for me, that is, I'm on the precipice of something and I need to push through.
Ooh, for some people it might be like that. I need to stop because I'm just going too scary. No, you're like, this is an exciting time.
For me, it's like, it's nervous and exciting. And I think, I don't know where I heard it, but like anxiousness and excitement are kind of just, they're the same feeling, but it's just the mindset difference. So for me, if I'm feeling that tingling in my stomach, a little bit butterflies, but I'm scared, do I push through? Do I keep going? To me, that's a sign of yes. And if I'm feeling constriction, like here in my chest and through my throat, and every time I think of this project that I'm working on, if it is like a tightness here, then for me, that's a sign. It's a sign for me to just maybe not abandon it completely, but pause and really get curious.
I think, too, in order to be in tune with your body like that, you need to spend some time just with you. That journaling helps. I mean, just a story. I had somebody once that was interested possibly in a coaching program that I was doing. And I was talking, we set up a Zoom call. And during the Zoom call, this person was doing all these other things, like their dishes, they're doing this. They couldn't focus for 15 minutes on that Zoom call. And that was concerning because I thought, that person is not going to be able to get in touch. That person was me at one point. I was like,
sure.
I know that, where I'm just so busy. I don't have time. Yes, I'll talk to you about, I'm interested in your coaching program. I'll talk to you about it. But, look, I've got all this stuff to do. I'm going to empty my dishwasher while I'm talking to you. I'm going to go.
Yeah. Let me multitask and be efficient.
Multitask. You're doing all of that, then it's really hard to get in tune with yourself and even notice those feelings that come up.
Right. And I have, and also just to share, Emily, I have been doing yoga for decades and I've been doing a lot of mind, body, spirit stuff. There is a place in San Diego called Optimum Health Institute. There's also one in Austin, Texas. And that's what that's the focus, is all about the mind and the body and the spirit. And I think that has really helped me get even more grounded. And that's how I know when to push forward and maybe when to, I need to really look at something here.
That's awesome. So what are the key takeaways from your book? And you wrote it too, you have a piece of art with each chapter. I like that. But what are the key takeaways from these 21 women that you interviewed?
From these 21 women, it's really feel the fear and do it anyway, I would say, is the main takeaway. And if you have this idea that has been brewing and brewing and brewing, your intuition, your inner voice, whatever you want to call it, pay attention. Pay attention to it. It's not going to go away until you explore it. And it may not be what you do 5 years from now, but it's there. That voice is talking to you. Pay attention to it. And let me think, what else was another big one? And just, be in community as well. And it's so important to talk about what you're interested in. Like you said, people need to know what you're up to so that they can help you.
Yeah. I remember once I was talking to a friend of mine and I told her, this is before COVID hit, but I said, I really want to get more speaking engagements. And she got me like 3, right?
Oh my gosh.
Just by putting it out there. I mean, people don't know, don't know what you're doing. They aren't going to be able to help you. Networking is really important. And for me, that's out of my comfort zone, but I've learned to do that more. And you want to just network, establish relationships. I see that happening people might say during COVID, we're alone, but I see it happening a lot within my circle.
Oh, yeah.
People are connecting me to different people left and right. I'm making so many new friends during COVID. I have all these little short phone conversations where I get to know people because somebody recommended, and it's awesome.
Me too. I have found, because I'm similar to you, like whenever I hear the word networking, it's not necessarily my favorite word, but I would say like in these COVID times, so many people have reached out to me through the different circles that I'm in and through Kathy's group. So it's just been amazing how many people that I have met.
Yeah. So as we wrap this up, what's next for you?
What is next for me? Yes. So I am continuing on my path. And also I have more writing that's in me. So I think in 2021, I might be putting out another book of sorts. Mm-hmm. So I'll just say that here to hold me accountable.
You think or you are? Because I do that too. I go online and I tell people what I'm going to do. That holds me accountable. You think or you are? You are?
I will. I will. Yeah. I'm not exactly, these might be more creative endeavors with my artwork, but I started drafting a journal. So a journal for artists. So that is something that I am working on. So I know that'll come out in 2021, and just having fun I do vision board workshops. I just started that up again. And I know I'm going to be doing another speaker summit series in probably March, April of 2021.
What's a speaker summit?
Yes. So in September, I hosted a 30 speaker event, and it was called From Employee to Entrepreneur, where I interviewed different thought leaders, coaches, CEOs, and it was all around going from being an employee to an entrepreneur. What do we need to know? What could we learn? And so I had so much fun doing that, Emily. I'm going to do it again. So that's coming up.
You're going to make a journal. So it'd be like, I'm looking for one of my journals. I don't have it here, but like a journal that people can buy at a store, right?
Yes.
Or online. Do you even know how to do that? Do you know how to get it mass produced? Wouldn't that be something that holds you back? I want to create a journal, but I really don't know how to get it out there. Who would buy it?
Oh my gosh. Yes. And I just think, you know what? I feel like if I want this thing, there's got to be at least one other person out in the world who wants it. So if I can just help one person, let me start there. Me start there. And I think having done published my book, now I have an idea of what to do. And also YouTube is great. YouTube and Google, whenever I feel stuck, it's like, let me Google that. Let me look on YouTube and see if there's anything I can find.
There's so many resources out there. And then in some of your coaching groups, I'm sure,
yes,
people are publishing journals, new day planners, stuff like that all the time. So you can too.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, I'm excited. Yeah. So how can people find your book and find out more about you?
Sure. My book, Painting Your Path, is available on Amazon. So if you just put in Painting Your Path, it'll pop up. And if you want to connect with me, there's a couple different ways. I am really active on Instagram, and my handle is CCR, those are my initials, _sunshine. And I actually have 2 Facebook groups. One is called Self-Care Leadership with Pat and Clarissa. And the other one is called From Employee to Entrepreneur Mindset.
Thank you so much for being on the Onward podcast. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for listening to my interview with Clarissa. I hope that you enjoyed it as much as I did. One of the things we talked about pretty much throughout the entire episode was coaching. Clarissa's a coach. I'm a coach. And we both have coaches and are in coaching groups and masterminds. They keep us going. They help push us. When we start to feel a little down, they motivate us. And we, in turn, can motivate others that are in the group as well. So I encourage all of my listeners to work with a coach, especially if you're working on creating the life of your dreams or leaving your comfort zone. It's really, really hard to do things like that all on your own. I find the support of a coach really worth it. So if you're interested in finding a coach for yourself, feel free to contact me. Feel free to contact Clarissa. And if we're not a right fit for you, we will help you find a coach that is a right fit for you. That's the most important thing. I've started the Onward Accelerator group coaching program, and I put a link to that in the show notes if you're interested. And also in the show notes are links on how to reach Clarissa. So the main thing we want, all coaches want, is for their clients, and even if you're not our clients, to succeed, to really live your best life. All right? Have a great day.
Yes,